Coach, I'll start on the negative, I guess. Just the interceptions. Can you take us through what maybe happened on, or broke down on those plays?
Yeah, I mean, the first one, he was trying to back shoulder strap. The guy was, the guy was matching him, and he was trying to back shoulder him. Obviously it was a wheel route, so he could have waited, could have back shouldered him. He just left it a little bit inside, and so just to err, I could probably have done a much better job on second down, to be honest with you, and kept him out of that situation. And so a lot of times interceptions, you look back at the plays that you ran before that and you're like, yeah, I probably could have saved that situation. And that's definitely a play where, I could have called a much better play on second down and probably kept out of that situation. So
how Cam responded seeing how Cam responded to those turnovers and bounce back and kept going.
Yeah.
What that mean to you?
It makes you call a game clear mind. I mean, he isn't fazed by much. He'll make a mistake, and we come over, and now we have iPads on the sideline so we can see exactly what happened. And so we just talk through it and basically move on to the next drive. There's nothing you can do about it then. And so the fact is, you got to learn from it after the game as much as in the moment. But those interceptions and those turnovers are hard to climb out of, and you typically don't win those games with three of them that are like, the first one gave them 7, and then the other 2 took points off our side. So you could legitimately say that it was anywhere from 13 to 21 point swings with those 3. And so that, the play before the interception was a touchdown, right? He threw a touchdown, and we had to go backwards because of a penalty. So those 3 or 4 plays in the game were critical, but to his credit and to our whole offensive unit's credit is nobody panicked. It was just play the next play. And we just kept attacking and ended up finding a way.
Kind of in a similar vein, you talked about going over the interceptions on the sideline afterwards. How much during the week do you guys dig into those poor plays? I feel like some guys like to watch film of them doing well to see what they're doing well. Some like to watch film of what they're doing poorly to not do that again. I know Cam called all these things correctables and stuff on Friday. I guess how much do you guys dig into those poor plays?
When we watch the game film, we do. Obviously, I don't have to tell Cam that was a bad play. Cam knows that's a bad play, and but I also don't expect him to be perfect, and so I know mistakes are going to be made. It's a tough job, and so all I care about, honestly, is how you respond to the mistake. I don't care about the mistake. People are going to make mistakes. I get it. How you respond to mistakes mean way more than the mistake itself. And so as long as we'll stay focused on the next play with a clear mind and go out there and keep attacking, then we'll overcome mistakes. Obviously I want to eliminate all of them. Is that reality? Probably not, but we both need to do a better job of trying to, obviously. But ultimately, we got to keep fighting because it's a long game, and if you panic, you got no chance. If you don't panic, the game will come back to you if you keep chopping wood.
Caleb Spencer, their defensive back, comes back to Miami and plays the game of his life.
Yeah.
Are you guys, when you game plan, are you game planning and you guys know that he's there and it's a possibility that he may play harder, or you just game plan business?
I game plan their scheme. Honestly, it's I look at the scheme that the coach runs in every situation. Do players matter? Yeah. We have to take care of certain players. 52 mattered, pretty good player, right? So, but ultimately, when you get to a situation where a kid transfers out, you're going to look, it wasn't just him. We got their best effort with all 11 guys. And we knew that going into the game. They were in a situation in their season where they were 2-2, but their record didn't reflect how good they were. They got beat by 2 pretty good teams. Rutgers is pretty good. Vanderbilt's playing well. So we knew we had a battle ahead of us. And so we didn't know how that was going to unfold, but we knew that their backs were against the wall, and it was the first conference game. And look, we were going to get your best shot. We get it. And so it wasn't just him, really. I mean, their whole defense play, I'll give them a lot of credit. I mean, their whole defense played with a lot of effort, and they strained the whole game, and it took everything we had to win the game. And I just appreciate our guys matching and fighting.
Scrambling ability was huge in that game. Was that something you thought that could maybe be there going into the game, or does it just game flow?
Look, as the season goes and as competition evens, right, there's going to be plays in the game where everybody's covered. And we're not going to scheme up the perfect play every situation. And so ultimately, a lot of those happen on third down. And third down is the last down. And I've said that over and over. So if everybody's covered, then go get the first down. Go make a play. And so it happened over and over in that game where, you know, they were covered and he scrambled and he scored one time and then he got some first downs. And so that keeps you at least in the drive. And so, yeah, his feet matter, and they're going to matter more as games get even.
That play where he found Riley Williams after making 3 tackles, what was going on through your mind during the play and kind of what you say to him after?
Nothing during the play, really. I'm just watching the play and thinking about what I'm going to call next, you know, based on how the play is unfolding. I have a pretty good idea in my mind, like if we don't get any yards, I'm going to call this. If we get yards, I'm going to call this, right? And so, you know, it was obvious to everybody that I didn't think we were going to get yards on that play. But he ended up getting out of it and basketball passing or whatever to Riley, and Riley made a heck of a play. You know, so I mean, look, that's not exactly how you draw it up. I think everybody will agree with that. But obviously I'll take it, right?
You know Riley had that stiff arm in his arsenal? Like
The fake stiff arm or the real one? He did both on that play. Yeah, I mean, Riley's got an amazing skill set, and so it was good to see him make that play.
Can you attribute that playmaking ability from Cam Ward to any, like, is it going back to multi-sport athlete?
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I don't really have that answer. We have conversations about it. I mean, he did play shortstop. He did play point guard in basketball. I don't know if that matters. I do think that how you play in the moment matters, meaning that, you know, it's such a low pulse rate, right? So when you play like that, the game slows down around you, where things like that happen when you have that kind of ability. Not everybody can do that, obviously, but I do think it has something to say with how calm he is in the pocket. And so he's just letting things unfold, and he is a hard guy to get down, and so he kind of slip around, and so, but his periph is good. You know, he does see people kind of flash in the corner of his eye and you know, and get him the ball, you know, and a play's never dead, but again, you like, you know, the first drive of the game where we fumbled that ball, you know, so I mean, there's a yin and yang to that too, and I think that's easily to see. But to me, I can't take the good and not take the bad. Like, I can't love people in slices, you know, so I either got to accept the whole player or I accept none of the player. And so now it's my job to like temper things. I get that, but ultimately we got to play football too.
What's it been like for you watching Elijah Arroyo this season? Obviously, Friday is the 2 big catches and then the tackle on the interception. And just the way he's come back with the injuries from last year to finally being able to showcase himself. What has that been like?
I've seen it ever since he's been healthy, to be honest. You know, I knew he had this ability. Everybody around here knows that. I think other people are just seeing what we've known all along. And now the play that he ran the guy down, I mean, that's just effort. You know what I mean? Obviously, you got to have the ability to track him down. But that was one of the most amazing plays I've seen in my career. And the fact, because if he don't run that guy down, then that's a touchdown, because he's going to cut it up. Nobody's there. And they didn't score on that drive. So that single-handedly kept us in the game, which is awesome. You know, he should be commended for that, and he has been, obviously. But, you know, I think that our effort throughout the course of the game, that clip obviously showed, you know, outstanding effort. But as the game went on, we needed that kind of effort because of the situation we were in, right? We needed to make plays. We needed to dig ourselves out, which hopefully we don't have to do that a lot. But that's just one of those games where we didn't play very well at times, and then we had to dig ourselves out with a clear mind. And it showed a lot of grit of our team, and especially our offense, to be able to keep chopping wood, which that's one thing that I'm very proud of with those guys.
Defensively, just kind of what have you seen from Cal, early on watching tape on that?
Obviously when I was watching it just before I came in here, and I mean the same thing that I really, you sit here and you play Virginia Tech, and I thought Virginia Tech was really good on defense going into the game, and I thought after the game, I thought they were probably better than I even thought. They played hard. I'll give a lot of credit to those guys, and I think Cal is the same. Like, statistically, they're one of the top defenses in the nation in basically every category, turnovers to yards per play to they give up, 12.8 points a game. And so, it's the same kind of game, to be honest with you. And that's not going to change here on out. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, they're a good defense, and we know what we have in front of us, and we got to prepare, and we have to do a better job in certain areas to win this game. We can't make those mistakes versus them out there and win this game.
Dan, you're throwing the ball as well as anybody in the country, but what about the running game? Has it been a little muddy to you, and what needs to happen for it to get more consistent and better?
It has been. I mean, we're missing some things too, to be honest with you. I mean, we have some things there that aren't getting hit. And so we're gonna stay the course, but it is a point of emphasis. Obviously, we want to get the run game going. I want to get the run game going. I know that eventually we're gonna need it, and we're more than capable up front. I think those guys up front are doing a heck of a job, to be quite honest with you. I think we just gotta clear our mind a little bit and just hit it really.
Are the backs not hitting the holes?
No, they're hitting it. I mean, it's like in run game is no different than what we just talked about with Cam. I mean, he's not going to hit every pass because things are blurry. There are certain times in the run game where it's easy for me to sit and watch video of back view and say, okay, this is where the ball should hit. Well, that's a completely different than when the guy has the ball, right? And so we just need to stick with it. I mean, we have certain things in the run game, and it's my job to stick with it and make sure we get more out of it.
I remember Mario said, I think back in fall camp, that you guys were going to use Francis Mauigoa as a weapon. I think was the word he used.
Yeah.
He showed that on that one play where he sent a guy kind of flying a little bit on that Chris Johnson run. How much do you just look at him and say, okay, we're going to scheme this up to go to his side and use him as a weapon and take advantage of his abilities?
I think he's good in space. He's good at most things that we ask him to do, but he's really good in space. And so we do try to figure out ways to get him in space at times, but it's not always going to go that way, to be honest with you, because that would be a tendency that would be very dumb on our part. So it just so happens at times that the ball's on that hash where he gets it. If it was on the other hash, he wouldn't get it. So, it was just one of those plays that kind of played out perfectly for him. But he is really good in space. It's fun to watch him go block in space. But I can't just tie it up and go that way all the time, right? We have other guys that are good in space too, but he's just really exceptional at it.
As a follow-up to what we were just talking about, Damian came in here he gained 1,300 yards last year. He's a proven 6-yard a carry guy. Hasn't really gotten on track yet this season. What has to happen to get him going?
I just got to stick with it. I mean, we just got to stick with it and keep going. I mean, there's ebb and flows of offensive football, and I said last week, and I'll say it again. It's like, we have the ability to do both, and when numbers and space dictate one, and there was some run game that we had that we pulled him through, to be honest with you, and so those things are going to happen at times the way football is played today. And so to me, there's a patience you have to have with run game, and we will. I mean, we were in that game where I was trying to put some points on the board, and if you watch the flow of the game, we never really gave up on the run game because we always hit one. About every 3 or 4 plays we would hit one, and there was a couple of them that could have hit big. And so, but there is a patience you have to have with it, and we will. You know, there's going to be times in the year where we're going to have to heavily lean on it, and so, and that will happen, and we are more than capable of doing it when that time comes.
Anything else? Awesome.
Appreciate it.